Good afternoon. Savva from Savva Talks Football, joined by the one and only Mr. Brian Daguls from Tottenham on Tour. Brian, afternoon, morning, whatever it is for you. How are you?
I am good, Savva. This is something you and me have been talking about doing for a long time, and at long last, the stars have aligned. It's a beautiful day here in Toronto, and I'm looking forward to this, my man. How are you?
Mate, I'm good. It's been, let's be honest, it's been a really difficult 7 or 8 days to be a Spurs fan in terms of some of the results, etc. But we've got new soap. In place at the ground.
We do.
The Skywalk is still making revenue. Tyson Fury's going to fight our ground, so all is good for the owners. So listen, let's celebrate the good times. In a week where we've had three. This is what's happened this week, Brian, at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yep.
We've managed to not win a game. We've managed to bore the pants off of the fans. And we've managed to witness an Emerson Royal no-look pass. If ever a moment, right, summed up a football club, right, it was Emerson Royal thinking he can do a Ronaldinho no-look pass. What did you make of that?
First of all, I'd love to see, when they sometimes do that mock-up and they put music behind something, yeah. I think they need to do the Titanic song to that. And just literally just do the whole build-up and then just see that no-look pass. It's good that you say 7 to 8 days as a Spurs fan. Let's try 15 years for me. Yeah.
I was easing in, Brian. I was easing into this, mate.
There's a lot gone on. Put it this way, someone actually sent me a direct message once and said, do you know what? The Premier League would be so boring without Tottenham. And it would be, because what you've just capsulated in 7, 8 days sometimes takes teams or the teams that we're trying to compete with 3 months, a season to even contemplate putting all that three into those things into one moment. It is very, very hard times at the moment. And I'm not talking about just on the pitch at the moment and the style of play, just everything with the club. And obviously there's a lot of people, you and me being two of them, that are very, very vocal. Very, very vocal about this.
Well, do you know the funny thing is, Brian? I mean, look, we'll cover all manner of things in the next hour and a half or so. But the funny thing is because I am so vocal about not enjoying Conte's style of football,
yep.
I actually have people now that come into my YouTube every day and go, oh, my God, you're defending ENIC. You can't understand they're the problem. And I'm like, if you know me, if you know me, and by the way, happy anniversary to us this week, because for me, like you, it's been 15 years this week of absolutely despising the owners since they sacked Martin Yeo at half-time.
Yep.
But the funny thing for me is, Brian, is that it's almost like I'm not allowed to think both things, right? If I don't like Conte's style of football, it means that I am giving Levy and ENIC a free pass to their 22 years of failure.
Yep.
And it's not that at all. So let me ask you, what do you make, right? Because we're going to talk about Levy and ENIC in a minute, but what do you make of the style of football that we are watching under Antonio Conte?
So all I can say is when I get asked this question, I talk about my late great grandpa, or my grandpa, who was my world, would talk to me about Bill Nicholson and everyone, and the push and run and the style of play and the way we did things with flair. My dad would tell me about he was born in '53, so he's too young to really remember but he can remember Birkin. And again, style of football. My time when I first started really getting in was like Terry Venables era, and just around like the Coventry. When I started watching Tottenham regularly was after the Coventry World Cup. That was kind of my induction. And then obviously moving forward, I caught the tail end of Huddle, Waddle.
Yeah.
And then we've had the Venables, we've had the Harry Redknapps, the Martin Yeos, and I've just been told all my life Tottenham play a certain style of football, the Tottenham way, like Liverpool play that, and whatever. And then let's not get this mixed up. The style of football. Big up my brother Wayne. Big up, such a top man. That man.
He is. I love Wayne.
He really is. And then you look at it, and it's not what we've been educated. It's not what we've been brought up on. It's not what we've been. It's just
The thing with it, Brian, the thing with it is this, right? Listen, when as a fan, if I turn around and say, and I can only talk for me because I'm me, right? I stand by my convictions. If I turn around and say I don't like this style, the things that I hear back are this. Well, we played good football and didn't win anything, right?
Yep.
Now, two things about this. Two things. First and foremost, we're not winning a thing playing this style of football, right? The best team that we have beaten this season is probably Fulham, right? In terms of league position, it's Fulham, right? This style of football isn't winning anything. Now, secondly, why is there this belief that to win things, you don't play good football? Because I'm looking at all the teams that have won things in the last 10, 15 years across the Premier League, across Europe. Who wins playing the way we're playing now? How many?
Yeah, you're right. I must admit, I have fallen into category 1, where I've said, listen, if this means we win, if you told me this wins trophies and guaranteed, then sign me up. But nothing's a guarantee. Nothing is a guarantee. And people say, and this is the Conte way, but you look at it when he was at Chelsea and Inter Milan, they didn't play. They may have played this style of football formation-wise, but they had world-class players to play more aggressive, progressive, attacking football. And when you've got a guy that relies heavily on wing backs, and like you said, one of our wing backs play no look. Yeah, I think that might be the new name for them. A wing whack. We have I sound like Jonathan Ross, don't I? Wing whacks. We're fundamentally missing those key areas, which could be a huge thing. Like Perisic has been very underwhelming. We all thought we were going to see incredible things from him, and I believe we do. I believe we will. Sorry, but we need to sort this out. We need to sort this out. It's a big problem, and also his teams that he built on had a defence he could rely on. Like look at George Graham. George Graham knew, all right, they play boring football. You would have 100% confidence in Arsenal under George Graham keeping a clean sheet. 100%. Without a doubt, you'd be like, right, we're not conceding. You'd be like, done. Whereas here, we're playing defensive football when we've had 66 shots against us against Chelsea, the filthy United. That sounds like we're playing back in Pochettino, or even worse, Ozzy Ardiles' famous 5. I don't think even in that team we were conceding that many shots per game. But the
thing is with it, Brian, is again, one of the things that I keep being told is, well, if we win a trophy playing this way at the end of the season, it will all be worth it. Now, first of all, I don't believe we will. But will it be worth it? Like, I mean, every game I'm watching at the moment, I don't enjoy it. Like, I don't remember the last time I watched Tottenham Hotspur and went, what a good game of football that was.
Yeah.
Like we went for it. Like the game against Sporting midweek. Once they retreated, we had a go at them, right? We tried. Yep. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, all these people that tell me that we can't play football, how comes we did it then, right?
Yep.
Why are we not setting up at the beginning of games to go at teams? Now, one thing just quickly on the back of this is Kuva always says is, remember when Redknapp came in and picked up that terrible Tottenham team that was bottom after 8 games?
Yep.
It's well known. Redknapp didn't do a lot of coaching on the training ground. It was, right, we're going to play 4-4-2. Let's get the wingers attacking. One of the midfielders go and attack. Big man, little man. And we played and we went after teams from the first whistle. Why can't we do that now? What's stopping us?
Mate, I said after the Sporting Lisbon game, can we start every game 1-0 down? Because it's the only way we seem to come into the game. We need to go goal down. I don't understand. Every single game we say we need a quick start. We need a quick start. We need to set the tone. And we do for like 5-10 minutes. And then we just say, okay, we've played for 5-10 minutes. Let's sit back.
Every game.
Yeah, every single game. Then in the second half, we start picking up, and I don't understand what is going on there. I mean, I would be doing my nuts. I'm sure Conte is, but it just gets to the point where you're like, what is happening here? And as we say, it's the mentality at this club. It's the mentality at this club. It's like, as long as you get fourth, We're not gonna. We won't argue. We won't come out. We won't slate the team. We won't say this is unacceptable. We'll give you new contracts. It's because the mentality of this club is get fourth and fourth at all costs. That's what it is. We took the piss out of Arsene Wenger saying fourth is the trophy. That's literally what we've become.
Mate, absolutely. And the funny thing about it is, and look, just quickly before we move on to ENIC and Levy, or LENIC as
my specialist subject on Mastermind. Let's do it.
I know. I received this message. I won't tell you who, but I received this message on my YouTube, right? From someone that comes onto my shows, and it just made me laugh. Somebody turned around and said to me, Savva, it's really sad to see the way that you talk about our club. The manager and the players need us more now than ever. And I'm thinking to myself, that's the problem, right? The problem is fans don't like truth.
Correct.
Fans want to wrap themselves in cotton wool. It's the same fans, Brian, that I can guarantee every game in the morning, I put out a post on YouTube going, right, everyone, give me your score predictions. And the same people, 4-0, 4-1, 3, whether we're playing Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal. And then these people are the same ones at the end of the game that will say to me, well, it's not Conte's fault, he hasn't got the players. Then why are you predicting we're going to batter everyone? Like, what's wrapped in cotton wool?
So yeah. First of all, that happens, and you know me, and the training ground, everything. Ever since I started going on We Are Tottenham TV, I was the first one. Even on my first interview, I was like, leave it out. And I've been this way, and people are like, oh no, here we go, and I get called negative because I don't see myself as negative. I go for the jugular in the areas that I think if it was the manager or the players doing it, I would do the same for them. And you want to talk about YouTube comments? I told you about the one I had up. This is what I'm dealing with. So after the Sporting Lisbon game, I went on the fan show with Nick and Bobsper doing the thing, and there was a guy in the comments that was said, Brian, why are you always on so much? Why are you first? Why are you this? Why are you so negative? So as I came off, I started responding to him saying, listen, mate, it's not champagne, Skittles and rainbows and everything right now at Tottenham. Tell me what I should be positive about. And I kid you not, he responded by saying one of the positives is Eric Dyer almost scored a hat-trick. And I was like,
almost.
He's like, so I should be happy that he didn't score a hat-trick and we would have won the game 4-1, 2-1, 3-1, whichever ones he did. But one of the positive things to take from that game was that Eric Dyer almost scored a hat-trick. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing, is I think there's so many people. Now, you know as well as I do, if people are leaving out, there's a big stigma. And I get some of the stigma because there's a lot of people on social media, Twitter being the main one, where it could be toxic, it could be vile, it could be disgusting. But because I'm so outspoken on leaving out, everyone associates that I know them. Everyone is like, Brian, is this one of your lot? Is it the amount of messages? And I'm like, listen, mate, I'm not the leader of a cult. I don't.
Yes,
I don't.
Yes, you are.
It's not like Moses getting the 10 Commandments and I'm top of Mount Sinai going, please join my cult. Please.
I'm going to call you Moses now. I'm going to call.
Please do. But like, listen, it's ridiculous.
Brian, it's like this. Like this comment. Big up to yourself, Ryan. I hear all the time, who do we blame for being so defensive? The players have to take some responsibility as they can't pass or do the basics. Conte is probably setting them up to protect the shit defenders we have. Now, I have so many problems with this, it's unreal. First and foremost, right, in the summer, I remember, right, show after show about transfers and about this and that pre-season and war chests and all this stuff. I turned around and said, this has not been a good window. We need top centre-backs, we need top midfielders, and we need top wing-backs. And so many people said, no, well, look what he did with Davis and Dyer. Look what he did with them, right? We're going to be brilliant at the back. He's got in Perisic. Yeah, Royal's good. All these things, right? Not saying you, Ryan, but all these people said all this stuff. Yeah? The moment it starts going wrong, all of a sudden now, it's every player is shit. And for me, there's no consistency, right? The same people who were rating this window an 8 and 9 out of 10 are the same people now that go, well, it's not Conte's fault, the style of play. We haven't got the players. But hang on, 3 months ago, you were giving me 8 and 9s out of 10s.
Yeah.
And yet we're the negative ones, even though we were the ones sitting there going, hang on, this is a crap window. This is a crap window. People like even like Will Stewart, beginning of the season, I think, telling me that Spurs will get like 92 points. And I'm like, why? Where's this come from? I don't understand our fan base, Brian. I don't get it.
I have to say, I'm glad you mentioned Will Stewart. You know me and my crazy tattoo bets. There's another one that I've put on, and I'm hoping lightning doesn't strike for a third. Well, actually, I do. But we've got a bet. Will was saying that. I said, Will, do you know what? We're not getting over 90 points. I said, if we get over 90 points, I'll get Will Stewart's logo tattooed on me again. And I said, but I only do this that if we don't hit 90, you have to get Tottenham on tour. And Will has got, if we get 86 points or below, he's got to get Tottenham on tour. And if we get 90 or above, I've got to get Will Stewart. So,
mate,
Junior,
listen,
big up, Junior.
This Tottenham team is not capable of getting 9. We're talking about getting the same amount of points that won Man City the title last year. Right? But this is the thing. When fans like that come out and say, yeah, this many points, are then the same fans that are telling me, well, it's not Conte's fault. Be grateful Conte's here. It's the players. Hang on. So if the players are good enough to get 93 points, why are they not good enough to play in this sort of football? Just quickly before we go in, thank you to everyone in the chat. There's 100 of you in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us on this Friday afternoon. Please smash the likes. There's only 21 likes out of 100. So that means 4/5 of you hate the show. So thank you for that.
That's quick math. That's quick maths.
Mate, listen, genius, aren't I? And if anyone does want to put in a super chat, as you know, the revenue, my super chat revenue does go to the British Heart Foundation. So if anyone wants to put in those chats, please do. Let's get stuck in, Brian. I don't want to talk about Conte the whole show, right?
Yeah, let's not.
Daniel Levy and ENIC. We could just end the show there, really. Daniel Levy and ENIC. They've been at this club now. I mean, is it 22 years coming up?
22 years in March.
Right, 22 years in March. So we're nearly a quarter of a century. They came in. The consistent message throughout the years is that we're striving to build something special. The consistent message is that they're going to hire managers that play the Tottenham DNA. The consistent message is that all money made will be pumped back into the club. Have you seen any of those things in these 22 years? And why? I mean, this is such an open-ended question. Why have they failed spectacularly from a trophy standpoint?
Okay, so let's just work this out. Like you said, it's been like 2001 they took over the club, and you see nowadays in modern football when there's a big takeover, what they do is they make a statement signing, and the easiest one I can give you, doesn't matter, it worked out for the time being, was Man City. The moment they took over, bang, there's Robinho, bang. All right, by the end he'd flop, but start off with that's like a huge show of intent. Huge show of intent. What's the first thing we did, and we should have seen it with Mourinho, is we sacked Graham and brought in Huddle. So his first move to make him look big and, I'm Spurs through and through, is to sack an ex-Arsenal guy who had won a trophy, and had us in the semi-final against a team he knew like the back of his hand.
Yeah.
And bring in God. So he sacked the devil to bring in God.
Yeah.
Then, obviously, that didn't work out. But when we saw the Mourinho sacking, that's when it reminded me this ain't the first time he's done it. He's done it there. Then there's been the manager. Listen, the way they have failed spectacularly is because they don't care about on the pitch. They don't realise that if you start winning trophies and seriously competing, people are going to want to sponsor this team. The money that's coming in Champions League every single year, not the 4 years we had with Poch and the one we had with Harry. It'll be a regular thing. There'll be so much on offer. Naming rights may have not taken. Oh, by the way, Google. As I said, Google, when we were in talks with Amazon, then we hired then we announced Dulac as our official paint sponsor. And as you said at the beginning, now Google's gone quiet. And what do we know? We've extended our contract with a toiletries company. Eric Dyer will be happy about that for when he goes to the toilet.
It is nice, a hand soap though, isn't it? To be fair to them, it's a lovely brand.
It is, and I must say, with Christmas and Hanukkah coming, get your stocking fillers in now. All proceeds go to the club, and you'll help with that transfer budget. Listen, it comes.
Brian Daigle, part-time Levy hater, part-time salesman for Molten Brown. Love it.
There you go, mate. There you go, mate. Got to be. Listen, I'm coming back to England. I need a job, so why not try and entice myself to these wonderful brands? But you look at what really frustrates me is the way this club operates sometimes. You see it with other clubs where they sign a player and they get a couple of years, whatever, to try and nail their place. And if they don't improve the team, it's like, okay, this ain't working. We need to upgrade to help the manager. We give them new contracts. How many teams, if you look at our back line, Eric Dyer, Ben Davies, would they have got... That didn't take long for Alias to come up. That didn't take long for an Alias to come up. So yeah, it's we just give them new contracts. It's cheaper to give them new contracts rather than say Eric Dyer and Ben Davies. How long would they last at Chelsea? How long would they last at Liverpool, United, City, the filth? Maybe not the filth because the filth of what they're going through.
They wouldn't get signed there in the first place, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's quickly talk about that then. The whole giving Davis and Dyer a new contract, if the Dyer contract happens. Ben Davis has been a very good servant. He's been a valuable squad player. You can depend on him. You know what you're going to get. You know his weaknesses. You know his strengths. And he's a good squad player, right? But this is a guy now that had 2 years left on his contract. And only Tottenham could go, you know what? Let's give him a third year. Like, why? Surely, if there's any plan, and this is why I think the whole thing about Conte wanting to be here for 3 or 4 windows and for a project, I think it's bullshit, right? No manager who wants to put a project together is going, cool, okay, we're not very good at the back. I'll tell you what, let's give 2 of those main 3 centre-backs contract extensions.
Yeah, but Savva, what you got to remember, this is the ridiculous part of this. Perisic came in because of Conte, but this is a club that say we don't like to sign people past a certain age because obviously resale value. But what we will do is people of that certain age that we don't want to sign, we'll give new contracts to. So it's like I won't sign a 30-year-old or anyone above 30, but if they're at the club and if they've been a good servant or not, I'll give them a new contract.
Yeah.
Where is the sense in you won't sign someone who could benefit the team at that age? It's come to the point over the years, I've said, you know what? I'd love it. Like, let's say Poch or under Harry. I'd have loved us to sign a few 30, 31-year-olds that have been there, done that, got the T-shirt, could be that bit of experience and know how to see games through. That would benefit the youngsters coming through. But then what we do is we won't sign them. But the players that have been a bit part and aren't good enough at that age, hey, have a new contract. Thanks for your loyalty. Thanks for getting us to big games and choking. But it's cheaper for me to offer you a new contract than not have to let you go for free or get very little money back for you and then have to splash out on a new player that may cost me X, Y, Z.
Mate, I tell you what makes me laugh about it is how many years have we needed new centre-backs, right? How many years? And you look, in that time, we've signed Sanchez, Longley on loan, Roden, Romero, good one. Other than that, what centre-backs have we signed in the last 6-7 years?
Exactly. And as you know, like we were talking about when Kane and Son go, when Kane and Son go, we need to find replacements. They're big shoes to fill. Jan Vertonghen, who is my second favourite player ever after Gaza or before, because I loved Jan. I absolutely idolised him.
Great player.
Oh, mate. But we had him and Toby, arguably the best defensive partnership we've had, definitely in our recent history, if not up there with some of the greats in the very, very early days. And we've done this. And I always give the Irish Hotspur credit for this when I come onto this. You talk about centre backs. Let's look at right wing back. We lost Kyle Walker after a great service for 50 mil. Kieran Trippier was there, who I did rate as a player, but he played that last season with an injury and then he went. We have spent more than 50 million trying to find his successor, but every single player has been shitter than the previous one. Every single right back we have bought.
Mate, Walker to Trippier to Aurier to Doherty to Royal, Spence. Mate, honestly, and people call him Don Paratici. Don. I mean, let's get back to Levy and ENIC.
Yeah, please.
Sorry. Whoa. Don't know what that. The shame for me is it's this wall that they seem to constantly pull around with them and throw it over people's eyes.
Yep.
It's if Levy and ENIC aren't going to back them now, they never will. I mean, how many times am I going to hear that? You know, the next window is the window, right?
That's the one.
The next window. You know, if they're not going to back them now, they're going to back Jose. They brought Jose in. You don't bring Jose in without backing him. Nope. They're going to back Conte because Conte's a world-class manager. Nope. They're going to back Poch because he's managed to finish second and get to a Champions League final. Nope. And yet fans, year in, year out, keep trying to convince me that what they've done at this club compared to where we were when they joined is amazing. And I keep trying to convince them, Brian, I'm a football fan.
Yeah.
I couldn't give a monkeys about the stadium. I would go and watch us if we were on Hackney Marshes, right? I liked going to the old White Hart Lane. So what needs to happen for you I think more people have come around to this in the last 10 years.
Yep.
Definitely the last 5 years. But what needs to happen for most of the fan base now to turn around and go, actually, yeah, we're nearly a quarter of a century and we're still not winning anything?
So first of all, what you've got to remember is, like you said, you and me get called negative a lot, as do many other, like anyone who's Levy out. Anyone who's Levy out, and I can get where some of it comes from with people when they get rude, toxic, vile, blah, 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 blah. But the one thing is we are constant. We are constant. And when we call it as it is, 9 times out of 10 it happens. Big up my brother. Normally it happens. But like you said, this one with the, like when I went to the training grounds, and with Ryan, who's in the chat, and Graham, who started that and was the other presence there, we kept saying this keeps happening, and it was gathering real momentum. And then obviously he pulled a rabbit out of his hat, and it was like, okay, we're happy now. We got 2 players. No, I'm not leaving. Then this money came in, and my social media. I tell you what, I was with Brad Matthews. I was just about to take him up the CN Tower, and my phone went absolutely berserk. Ben from We Are Tottenham TV, Bob Spur were trying to call. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Got told we got 150 million in. I was like, okay, it's a start, but let's hold fire and see what they do with it. Let's hold fire and see what they do with it. And I said, I won't say Levy out until the end of the window as fair play. Let's see what they do. And they did it again. Then people start to, every single time, it gets to the touch paper where I literally think, right, this is it. You've got nowhere to turn. And then somehow, I think, honestly, I honestly think, and this is me being funny, I think he's got one of those things from Men in Black. You know when they used to go, right, and that's what I'm thinking. He goes, right, you're going to wake up, and Tottenham we've just bought the club, we've got this new stadium, and you're going to love us. It's like, oh yeah, I love Levy, let's go. And then it happens again, and I'm sick and tired. The one that I hate is this window's the one. This window is.
Last week, Brian, I saw the first. Like, you know, now we're coming up to January. I know we're what 10 weeks away, maybe, from the January transfer window opening, and I saw the first one of those messages that gets put out by the Spurs fans accounts, right? Well, sorry, I've got a feeling my front door's going to go.
My God, you're psychic.
No, it's a Ring doorbell. It's a Ring doorbell.
My dad's obsessed with that thing.
Sorry, where was I? Right. The first one of the messages that I've started to see was, we understand that that Levy is going to back Conte in this window with, and you're thinking, really, like, how how many times do we have to pretend each window is going to be different from the last? Because the denial, and you know me, listen, I don't mix my words, right? And people love me or hate me for it, right?
Yep.
And my strap line for me is hated, adored, but never ignored, right?
Oh, I love that. I love that.
The thing is, right, is this. The denial from most of our fan base during this summer transfer window, the denial that the players we were bringing in were top quality players that Conte wanted, right? The denial, the denial that fans believed Levy was going to back a manager. The denial that they don't understand that when people like Ali Gold and all of them, nothing against him personally, but when they all spout this war chest and we're being backed, I don't get it. I don't get the denial. And you know the thing is, Brian, we're going to see it all again in January, aren't we?
Yep. I mean, first of all, if I'm speaking about January, David Clark has just brought up a point that I see a load of the time where saying we've got mad for Levy over 20 years, but the main man is Joe Lewis. Mm-hmm. You bang on the money. Joe Lewis is the problem, but funnily enough, as loud as our voices are, we can't reach his boat in the middle of the Bahamas.
Yeah.
If he was regular at the ground, he would be getting it by no end. Absolute no end. So the only way to voice the opinion is by the bastard that's sitting there every single game, week in, week out. I would love for us to turn on Joe Lewis, but it falls on deaf ears. It's like literally, I don't even know if he knows who we're playing on Saturday. Joe Lewis is completely. It's so hard to go. Oh, Lewis out. He's never in. He's never here.
And he's given full control of the club, right? Let's be fair. Daniel Levy runs that show, right? So yes, Joe Lewis owns ENIC and whatever, but for me, you're not telling me, for example, not saying you, but fans are not going to tell me that it was Joe Lewis that said, right, we won't pay the extra 5 million for Grealish. We won't pay the extra 10 million for Skriniar, because the money has been there, right?
Yeah.
But what we do is we go and buy 10 players that are all average rather than going 3 of quality. So this window, I think it worked out all in all, if we had the Romero money, whatever, it was about 150, 160, I think somewhere in there, depending on whose balance sheet you want to look at, right? Now, for that sort of money, you could go and get a top quality centre half, a top quality playmaker, and a top quality wing back.
Yep.
Now, if we had those 3 ingredients into this team, instead of signing 7 that don't really play, I could turn around and go, all right, we didn't have a complete clear out and we haven't added to the squad greatly, but look what we added. Look at the 3 players that go.
Yep.
Man United, Anthony, straight in. Casemiro, straight in. What's his name? Martinez at the back, straight in. If we did that, I'd turn around and go, yeah. So no one's going to tell me that Joe Lewis is saying, "Oh, just buy 7 average players." That for me is on Daniel Levy, hook, line, and sinker.
Well, I'll give you the prime example of why that is what it is. Is if you look at when we had the Bale money and we had AVB. AVB wanted Moutinho and the Hulk as 2 of his main players that he wanted to come in. Didn't get them. And then he was told, you're the manager. Me and Baldini will bring in the players. Your job is to coach them. We'll deal with that. That's what he's there for. So it's like, okay, that's fine for AVB. But then we heard with Poch that Daniel Levy apparently offered him players, but he didn't want him. So he didn't sign them. So you can't have it with one manager a few years ago that doesn't care what the manager says, I'm going to buy players.
Yep.
And then with Pochettino, say, well, I don't care. Oh, I don't have to spend money. Okay. I'm not gonna do anything. And then you look at our directors of football, and Paul Mitchell left. We know why. And it's just been woeful. Getting back to this January, what I've been saying as well is they may have prepared for this January. Who knows what money we've got? But this is what I don't get is this is a World Cup year. And we all know if one of our players that we're looking at that we don't know about and the Spurs are keeping hush-hush, if they have a good World Cup, whatever budget you had to spend X, Y, Z on whatever players, Well, start adding 15, 20 plus on their prices.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that other clubs are going to be, oh, wait a minute. He had a good World Cup. Let's go nab him. And I'm only saying this isn't so much against the club. This is the fact that it's a World Cup year. And we know what happens. Don't get me wrong, it could work the other way. The player could have a bad World Cup and his value goes down. But then are we going to sign someone and go, yeah, he had a really bad World Cup. Let's sign him.
That sounds exactly like what we would do, Brian.
There you go. These are the things. I mean, this World Cup has thrown everything up in the air, hasn't it? Yeah, and not just for Tottenham. I'm talking about every football club on planet football. Every single club. But if let's just say, like for instance, there's a Canadian player that I've been waxing lyrical about, and his name's Tajan Buchanan. Mm-hmm. So people always talk about Jonathan David and Alphonso Davies for obvious reasons. Jonathan Buchanan is basically, he looks like and he plays like Leroy Sané did for Man City and now Bayern. Wonderful player that I think will tear the Premier League to shreds. He's probably about 15, 20 million right now. If he has a great World Cup for Canada, and I'm just using this player as an example, that player goes from 20 million to, let's say, 35, 40.
Yep.
And this is the issue for every single club. And you know what happens if we're going for a player and another team want him. We'll do the bartering and get them down to the price the other team wants, and then they'll take them because they'll pay the money. And it's a big concern. It's a big concern, and this is a massive thing with the money. I loved Paul Mitchell, Craig. I loved that man.
Yeah. But again, why did Paul Mitchell go? Look, I mean, when we look at what Spurs do, and again, this is where I feel the wool gets pulled over eyes. We had this when Jose bought. I remember when Jose signed those 7 players in the summer. And I remember fans telling me, oh, he's been backed. Right. And I remember saying to people, yeah, there's a couple of good buys in there. But no one is going to tell me that one of the most love him, hate him, whatever. Factually, he's one of the greatest managers that's ever lived. Right. If we're going by what he's won. No one's going to tell me that a manager of that ilk, with that experience, wanted Joe Hart, Doherty, Roden, Gedson on loan, Vinicius, right? No one's going to... He didn't want Bale. You could tell he didn't want Bale because he couldn't run and he couldn't do it. But everyone waxed lyrical. They waxed lyrical about the window where... Now, I liked Ndombele before we signed him. Yeah. Everyone was like, oh, my God, Jack Clark and Ryan Sessegnon and Lo Celso. We got excited then over average players. We got excited when we signed Brian Hill and Papasar and Galini. And then we've done it again this window. So fans get excited. They big up these players, but then we're not allowed to say it's the manager. And I'll bring that all back to Levy. I don't want to go on to Conte, but back to Levy. And Levy gets away with it again.
So you know what it is, Savva? I've got a kind of a... First of all, I'll talk about the Jose appointment. Then I'll talk about the theory that I had behind the window and who he brought in. Jose Mourinho being hired by Tottenham Hotspur and Daniel Levy was a pure vanity project for Daniel Levy. He's wanted him for 20 years and never been able to entice him. And then you look at it, it's not like Jose Mourinho doesn't have the same MO everywhere he goes. Comes in, spends hundreds of millions on what he wants, wins your trophies, turns it toxic, fucks off. Every single club he goes to, he does the same thing. But Daniel Levy had to have him, but say, listen, you're coming in, you're not going to have the money, but I want you to win trophies. And then obviously the final. But the reason I have behind the players' side is I personally think, like I said, this is my own opinion. I don't know how people feel about this. I reckon in talks, Jose Mourinho might have said, listen, I know I'm not going to have the 100 millions, but when I want a player, whether it's his one or you get the deal done like that. There's no fucking about. There's no, like the Jed Spence. Oh, if there's a player available, if you look at it, when was the last time people like Joe, all right, these are shitty players, but Joe Hart, Doherty for 2, we didn't even know they were on the fucking radar. And in they came, bang, like out of thin air. Gareth Bale, Ali Gold kept saying every single year, I'm not talking about Gareth Bale because it ain't happening. And then all of a sudden he did one video, and then within 30 minutes he goes, guess what? Gareth Bale's happening. Out of thin air. And that all happened under Jose. So I think personally, he said, listen, when we go for a player, just get the deal done. Don't fuck about and do what you normally do. Whether we agree that they were the right players or not, that seemed to that's my thought behind it. But why when you scout a manager, Pochettino didn't have a track record. When you see that there's a guy that has a track record of doing everything that he does and winning what he does, why bring him in and say, right, we're going to try it a different way? I know that's successful.
Yeah. This is the thing for me. Look, and this is where I suppose the juxtaposition, which I love as a word, I'll say it again. The juxtaposition for me with Conte is this, right? Is like you just said, if you bring in Conte and he's going to play this style of football, at least give the man the tools and the players that can play this way. If not, get rid of Conte. I'm not saying sack. If not, don't hire Antonio Conte. Hire a Steve Cooper. Hire an Eddie Howe and say, right, we're not going to, when you come here, you're not going to get 50, 60, 70 million pound players. You're going to get bargains and let them work with it. Because otherwise, we're sitting here with a manager and everyone's going, he's going to get backed. He's got to be backed. We're sitting there going, he's not going to. He's not going to. And what we've got to stop doing is pretending that every player that comes through the door, Conte wanted. I said this so many times in the window, Brian. Can you imagine, right? And look, at a pro club, as everyone knows, the signings don't happen overnight. The recruitment team, the scouts, the director of football, the chairman, the manager, they sit around. They must have a weekly meeting about what's needed, what injuries have we got, what do we need to buy, whose contracts are coming up. You're not telling me that in any of these meetings, Antonio Conte said, the 7 players I want are Richarlison, a 33-year-old Perisic, Longley on loan, Jed Spence, Fraser Forster. I don't believe it in any way, shape or form, Brian, that is who he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way I could talk about this, and I refer to this all the time, and I'll tie it back to Levy, is with Southampton and Liverpool when they wanted Van Dijk. They tried all that summer to get him. Van Dijk even put in a transfer request to try and force the move through. And Southampton were like, no. Klopp was offered other defenders, and he said, no, I want Van Dijk. So they left that alone. New Year's Eve, a 75 million deal was agreed. So probably Liverpool phoned up and said, right, what's it going to take? They went 75 mil. New Year's Day, he was at Liverpool. He was at Anfield holding a Liverpool scarf done. Not saying that this will happen, but what I want to see then with Bastoni, for instance, who is not playing at Inter at all at the moment or is on the bench, not saying get him there January the 1st, put a goddamn bid in. He's the number one target. Get on the phone to Inter and say, right, what do you want? I mean, personally, I've said, and I've seen a few people say in the chat, I want our number one target to be Skriniar. As much as I want Bastoni, we need that, like the Nemanja Vidic, dominating, commanding, won't take no prisoners. I love his reverse psychology. I'm loving Cougar's reverse psychology. We need someone to just come in and go, right, that's it. We ain't accepting this. I mean, you look at it back in the day. Do you reckon Ledley King or Gary Mabbott would accept what's going on in defence? They wouldn't. They wouldn't. Sorry, just quickly, Greg. I mean, this is a really strange comment. I mean, to be fair, I saw Iggy say something similar. Like, if Conte walks, I walk away from this club. Let's be really, really honest here, right? We're Tottenham fans. We're not going to walk away from our club. We've been through worse. We'll go through worse in the future. But I mean, if Conte walks, he walks. I don't care. I just don't care. He's not going to be backed. So if he walks, another manager will come in. They're not going to be backed. It is the perpetual cycle at Tottenham Hotspur. But what does it need now for Levy to learn? Because fans will never stop going, right? Yep.
Fans will never stop going and putting money in his pocket. The NFL will always be there. The boxing will always be there. The concerts, the skywalks, blah, 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 blah. So how does this ever change?
So one thing I will say to you, and it actually made the news over here and in the States, the NFL are really not happy with Daniel Levy right now, really not happy because of this whole pitch thing. There's been a lot of stuff said about this, the underlining of the pitch. And as I kept saying to people when I came over for the NFL protests, I kept saying to people, this isn't about, those protests weren't about having hundreds of people that would have been phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. But the NFL is such a huge company and such a huge franchise and such a big sport around the world that the media attention will be there. And if it gets into American press, it starts spreading the news. God, I almost broke out into Frank Sinatra there.
I did wonder.
We made the New York Times.
Yeah.
We made other American paper. I'll tell you now, the NFL will swallow ENIC whole for breakfast and not even bat an eyelid doing it. But it's like where Greg said, if I walk away, if Conte goes, I walk away from this club. I'm kind of hoping, if that should happen, which I don't want Conte to walk at all, please God don't. I am as much Conte in as I am Levy out. I don't want to see.
I just don't care.
Yeah, but I don't. Do you know what? I've seen so many super chats, and I go back to a famous one from Will Kelly when he was on the Irish show, going, "I'm sick and tired of this team because of what Levy's done. He's ripped the soul. I've supported this club for years, and if this happens, I'm going to stop watching. I'm going to stop doing blah blah blah." And William lives in Australia and gets up whatever time in the morning. I'm like, these are the people I go mad for, because no one should turn their back on the club that has been there all their life. Mm-hmm. As my dad says, literally, friends come and go, relatives come and go, relationships come and go, jobs come and go. The one thing that stays constant is your first love, which is your football club, no matter what football team you support. These kind of things shouldn't be, I walk away from the club. It should be, right, there is something wrong here. I don't know where Greg's stance is. But then
I know Greg's stance. Greg's stance, he tells me every day on YouTube, he does not want Poch back. He keeps mentioning Poch as though I've asked for him back, which is funny. But Brian, I mean, just quickly, big up. There's 155 of you in the chat. So hello, welcome to you all. Some great points going on. There's only 50 likes though. So that means that 2/3 of you, quick math again, are not liking the stream. Please like, and if anyone did want to put in a super chat, the money does go to charity.
Why you're calling me Moses. I might have to start calling you Carol Vorderman or Rachel Riley the way you're working out these numbers.
I know, splitting 153 ways was really talented of me just there. I mean, this is the thing for me is I saw a good point. Let's bring it up.
Let's do it.
This is a good point. Now, this is a good counter argument. So I do take stock in this. So Stephen has said, minor devil's advocate, don't shoot. We won't shoot, mate. Spurs have been in 5 finals in the last 20 years. That's 25% of the time. What should that percentage be? Now, I suppose the thing is here is if you had real staunch ENIC in people, they would tell you, well, hang on, I'm not saying you, Stephen, but we've been to the finals. The managers didn't manage to win it for us. Now, I get that. But for me, I feel that when we get to a final, it's not like divine right. It's not like we were the best team. We seem to go on these lucky cup runs, right? But when we come up against Man City's, Chelsea's, Man United's in finals, they've got better players and they've got better depth, right? Excuse me. Bless me.
You, sir.
Thank you. I don't know. I'm coughing. I'm sneezing. Oh, this is COVID starting, isn't it? Just kidding. And there is an argument to that, right? That Levy and ENIC couldn't help that we didn't win those finals. But the problem is when we make finals, when we finish second, when we build a good team, we never kick on, do we?
Yeah,
we never ever kick on.
So do you know what? First of all, Stephen, it's a really, really good thing. And just to let other people know, we may be Levy out, but so many people don't come on shows because they think straight away, if you don't think the same of us, we're going to bloody attack you and you're going to get called It's never the case. This is what we want to hear. It's open dialogue and speak with people. I can assure you I don't buy it. Stav are the same. It's just a discussion, but people get intimidated thinking because we're so staunch that we won't listen to any other argument. What I would say to Stephen's comment is with that percentage of finals, the worst thing about it is this percentage of semi-finals that we get to and fail to get to the final. Yeah. If you look at the FA Cup semi-final, we have lost every single one since 1991. Every single, that's a 30-year coming. That's 30 years, and we've been to a fair few semi-finals in the FA Cup, and we've lost every single one of them. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning. When you do that, if you're in a job, your everyday job, and you have targets to hit, and you're not hitting your targets, your manager will come in, he'll start disciplinary action like verbal warning, written warning, final warning, goodbye. We get to semi-finals, quarter-finals, second in the league, third in the league, and don't get over that hurdle. But because we've got Champions League, it's like, here you go, here's a reward, have a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Not, okay, we've got here, with a little push we could get there. That's the issue. Getting to the finals, don't get me wrong, we have got to finals, but have we won any of them? Apart from that one in 2008.
Well, I'll tell you the interesting thing about this, and let me just read out the super chat first. So thank you very much, Craig. Yes, that is much appreciated. Big up Savva. I'll forgive you for spelling my name wrong. Big up Savva and Daguls, but more importantly, the British Heart Foundation. Yeah, absolutely. It's a cause very close to my heart, no pun intended. So I try and do as much as I can for them each year in terms of raising money. And so far from the 6 months of this show being up, we've managed to raise over £1,200 for the British Heart Foundation. So if anyone does want to do that, then please do. And it is appreciated. And I know the British Heart Foundation are very appreciative. And also my old sofa I gave them. They were very good in taking that. Brian, the thing for me is this, right, is I was having a chat with someone the other day. I'm in about 15 Spurs WhatsApp groups, right? Different people.
I'm so happy I'm out of them. I am in none of them. I'm so happy.
And as with anything, you've got people in that group who think like me. You've got people in the group who don't think anything like me. And we have different debates and blah, 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 blah. And it's fine. It is what it is. But what I find with a lot of those people is they make short-term assessments versus long-term assessments.
Yeah.
Now, what I mean by that is I hear things like, oh, well, who would you rather be right now, us or Liverpool? And it's like, okay. So what we're doing is we're taking 11 games that Liverpool have played this season versus what they've been for the last 5 or 6 years, winning Champions Leagues, FA Cups, League Cups, Super Cup, right? And what we're doing is going, there you go, look how good we are. Now, we always do this. For the last 10 years, there's been times where we're above Man City, right? When we're above Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal. But guess what's happened in that last 10 years? They've all won stuff, right? Because what they do is they have a dip, like Liverpool. I'm not Mystic Meg, I'm not Nostradamus, but I can see what's going to happen with Liverpool. All right. I didn't think they dipped this badly. I still think they'll finish top 4, by the way, because I think there's too much quality there. A few changes. They're starting to bed in younger players like Carvalho, Harvey Elliott. Diaz and Nunez have only just joined. They're being bedded in. You're seeing Tsimikas play more. Yeah, you're seeing Gomez is playing more now instead of Matip. All of these different things. But what Liverpool will do is the next 3 or 4 players they will buy will be top-class players, and they will go from here back up to there and be challenging. What Spurs do is we have these spells where we go, oh, my God, look how good we are. We get to that stage where you go, well, this is a good 11. Go and add to it. Nope. No. I mean, how many times have we been there under Harry, under Poch? Yeah? These teams that were good and we've not gone and added. And that's why I always say to people, forget a league table after 11 games. Yeah? This is not about, sorry, I'm ranting now. This is not about 11 games, Brian. I don't look at the league table and go, oh my God, what a great job Conte's doing with third. I look at the bigger picture and go, I'm worried about the club. I'm worried that it's not sustainable what is happening. And it's being papered over by being third in the league because we've beaten a lot of poor teams. And the biggest one is being papered over because of a VAR decision. Now, I'm not going to get into a debate of was it a goal, wasn't it a goal? But that, for me, has taken over what was yet another very worrying poor performance. Yep. So this club as a whole, my question to you at the end of all this is, what direction are we going in, Brian? And just sorry, you're going to hate me. I've got a couple of super chats. Sorry.
Yeah, no, do it, brother. I can see them coming in. It's good that we're getting them.
George, a big up to yourself. I said, big up Savva and Brian. Yeah, we're going to try and do this regularly on a Friday. We'll have the Savva and Daguls Friday huddle. So stick around every Friday for that. We'll pick a different topic each week, by the way. And Borodin said, sorry to hear this, mate. He lost his dad when he was 69 to heart disease. Huge respect for all I do in aid of BHF. Yeah, look, in the last 2 years, I lost my mum with a heart condition. And my dad died when I was 6 due to heart problems. So for me, it's a real big thing. And I just don't feel that YouTube and all of this should just be about making revenue. I do feel it should be about giving back where we can. The Tin Man's come in. Thank you very much. And I said, big up, guys. Daniel Levy back in Conte in the transfer market is like having Usain Bolt and giving him flip-flops to win the race.
That is one of the best analogies I've had.
It's so true. So, Brian, my question to you at the end of all that was, what direction are we heading in? We can't just say we've got a world-class manager. What direction?
So before I answer that, I need to rant about what you ranted about with the players and what we're doing. So first of all, what you got to look at it as. I saw someone mention it before when I was saying about go get Bastoni, and they said, well, what about United? They paid 85 million for Harry Maguire, and look what's happened. Well, for the first couple of years, he weren't that bad, and then but that's the risk. What they did is they backed the manager, and Man U said, right, if this is what you want, this is what we're going to get. You look at it now with they went and paid the 90 million for Anthony. They paid the money for Martinez, and everyone said Martinez is going to be too small, too slight, too this, too that. But that's what the manager wanted. And the one thing I'll say with Roman Abramovich, listen, forget where his money, or you can't forget where his money came from. But what he did, he said, he used to say, right, I'm going to put my money where your mouth is. I'm going to give you everything you got. But if you fail to hit what I do, you're going to suffer the consequences. I said, right, I'm going to give you the tools that you need to succeed. Now it's up to you to do it. And if you don't, you'll be gone. You'll be gone. That's it. You will be gone. I will smash records. I will bring them in. And you even look at it. Bowley started bringing them in for Chelsea. Whether we agree whether they're good players or worth the money, they're like, right, the manager wants this. I get them. That's what the responsibility. Listen.
Yeah.
I last January, I really, really wanted Dusan Vlahovic. I wanted him more than anything in the world. But then when I heard he wanted 300 grand a week, I was like, piss off. There is no way that you come in above Harry Kane. You're 21 or whatever you are. You've had one season. What gives you the right to demand such a... I don't want to be held to ransom. That I'll never... With that, I thought that said Tina Young, and that was my sister. I was about to say, what the hell is my sister doing here? But yeah, so that's the issue. We have these managers, and we never get them what we want. We get them the one I always famously respond to is when we wanted Morgan Schneiderlin as Poch's first signing. He goes, get me Schneiderlin, get me Schneiderlin. I've worked with him. He knows what I want. He does the job I want. Oh, okay, so you want a defensive midfielder who's combative. I don't want to pay 15, 16 million. I'll pay $500,000 for Benjamin Stambouli.
Stambouli.
That's and I actually used to nickname him FIFA. And the reason I called him FIFA is if you ever watched him live, you know when you push triangle on the PlayStation or Xbox and then the player runs out of energy, he goes from running faster. That's what Stambouli was. Stambouli could run about 3 yards and then needed a rest. But that's what happened. Now, getting back to the conversation, what direction we're going in, I never understand our direction. I give Liverpool a lot of credit for when they get rid of a manager, they bring in a manager who has the same kind of philosophy. Well, maybe not the same formation, but likes to play the way the previous manager did. So it's like, okay, you got a group of players here that can fit into your system. It's down to you whether you like them or you think you want someone you know better. We just go from pillar to post, from post to pillar, zigzag. Well, yes, we need this. Yes, we need that. And it's just a huge mess. I can't remember the last time we had two managers back to back that played the same style of football. Not the same formation.
Agreed. There's no continuity at all. You know the next manager will be completely different to what we're doing now. And I mean, I will welcome that, by the way, but that's a different conversation.
Sorry, you got to answer that. Sorry, I just want to say that. What you got to remember is we keep saying these ones for the future that are bought by one manager. That manager doesn't stay long enough to actually play the football that he was bought for. So then that one for the future becomes one for this manager. And it's like, well, That's not the style of football I play. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. Either to stay ultra defensive and keep some continuity, or but just don't chop change. As much as we'd hate the football, if another defensive manager came in, let's just say, and I don't think it will do for a long time, because hopefully Conte stays. Yeah, we might hate the style of football, but at least the manager's got the settings and the players that he needs to play the brand of football that's associated with him.
Listen, as I've said before, all the people that keep telling me you're ungrateful, you've got this manager, it doesn't mean nothing if we don't get him his players. If we're not going to get a manager, his own type of players, don't have him here, right? What I would say is I then look down the road. By the road, I mean Newcastle, which is obviously not down the road.
He's down the road compared to Canada, mate. Newcastle.
Yeah, that's true. I look in my back garden at Newcastle. And what you see there is what a coach can do with poor players and get them playing. And this is the thing. This is the thing for me. How have we? So I was saying the other day, Brian, and I don't know. It might have been Coover. If Coover's in the show, I've never loved and hated someone as in equal measures as Coover. Just joking, Coover. I love you. I love you. He's going to be on my new show on Sunday. When we looked at it, I believe there's like a 5 million difference in what Spurs have spent and what Newcastle have spent in the last two windows. And the reason I say the last two windows is that's the time that Conte and Howe have both been in situ. Yep. Then I look at what Newcastle have done, right? And I look at every player they've bought, has gone straight into that team and made them better. And that is without, they haven't bought world-class players because world-class players won't go there yet. But straight away, solid Premiership left-back, Matt Targett, boom, in. Yeah? Trippier, boom, in. Dan Burn, again, I'm not saying he's amazing, but a solid Premier League experienced centre-back, straight in. Botman, straight in. Right? Guimaraes, straight in. And then on top of that, right, he's managed to make Almiron, Willock, Longstaff, all these players, Joel Linton, look good. Now, my question, vying slightly away from the Levy argument, is why can't Conte do anything similar with the players at Spurs? And for me, I'll let you answer this in a second. For me, the answer is because he has one set way of playing that he doesn't want to try and develop those players to play another way. Whereas Eddie Howe is a more forward-thinking football manager and lets them play. Go and express yourself. Go and play. So for me, if we're going to keep buying what we're buying, I'd rather an Eddie Howe. I'd rather a manager where the expectation from the fan base isn't that we're going to win trophies and we've got this world-class manager. So somebody in the chat asked me earlier, who's the sort of manager I would want if Conte wasn't here? It would be an Eddie Howe, a Potter, a manager that goes in and goes, right, I've got an identity. I'm gonna coach the players. I'm going to upskill them, and I'm going to make players better. And I don't think Conte's made a single player better at Tottenham. I don't think Kane's better. I don't think Son's better. I don't think Højbjerg. Sorry, big man. You go.
No. The way you look at it, listen, first of all, I would have taken Eddie Howe all day. I even said it over Nuno. All day, I would have taken him. Without a doubt, that would be, if we're going to go for a manager that weren't the big name, I would have taken Eddie Howe. I definitely would have. But and I was on Henry Wright's show with you a few weeks ago when I spoke about Newcastle, and it's been a year since the owners have taken over as well. And everyone was obviously moaning about the human rights issues. I'm talking about the footballing issue, not the politics and everything behind it. They've come in, and they can, if they wanted, go and bid ridiculous money. Let's just say, for example, if they wanted Neymar, they can get Neymar. They can afford him. And I'm just using that as a big name player. Or a Mbappe. They could do it. They could say, right, what do you want? What do you need? What they have done is listen to the manager. And you've got to remember, they had a good... I like their Dubravnik or whatever their goalkeeper was that's now... He was a sturdy goalkeeper. He was a sturdy goalkeeper. But it's like, no, I want Nick Pope. Bang. Yes, they got relegated. It might be... But they've been getting these deals done. we wanted Botman, sorry, let me respond to that. We were making inquiries, FC, or
monitoring
the Situation Albion, one of those famous names that we get during January. But they have listened to the manager. And the thing is, what I will say, and I think you can't deny that if we're in the same positions that we are right now, come January, Newcastle will say, right, what do you want? What do you need? We're on the verge of the Champions League. Let's do this. Whatever you want, we'll. Whereas us, it's like, right, well, I want this one, I want that one. Oh, well, maybe let's see. I've only got a month to try and wingle every single second and every single penny out of this deal. Yep. Whereas Newcastle will be like, right, what do you need? Let's get him in. You look at it last season with Kulusevski and Bentancur. Yes, they turned out to be wonderful additions. But if they'd come in the beginning, they'd have been there for 2 Carabao Cup semi-finals against Chelsea.
Yep.
They would have been there for the filth if they hadn't run away. They would have been there for the Chelsea in the league. And they could have made that could have been another final we got to. That could have been another 3 point. So it's when we do it, and you look at, like you said, Eddie Howe loves to play in that open brand of attacking, which is the Tottenham way. And they've listened to him. Everyone came and said, will he be able to deal with the pressure at Newcastle? Because like I say on every stream, I have a huge soft spot for Newcastle United and Newcastle, the city. Even before the, not so much with these owners, but used to be my favourite away day. I love that city. If I ever moved back to England and I didn't move to London, I'd live up there. I loved Newcastle and the Newcastle people. Mm-hmm. And they gave us Paul Gascoigne, let's face it. But they listened. That guy's come in, and there is big demands there. That like here, Newcastle is like a one-team city, as you know. Like here, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs in ice hockey. No one else. You have the Blue Jays. It's a one city or a one province. So there's not that. Everyone supports the same team, but there is so much demand, and they've listened to him. They've listened to him. And they said, you never knew if he was going to be able to deal with the big egos. What he did at Bournemouth was incredible.
Oh, all people will remember is he got them relegated. Any real fan that has watched football for years and years and years will realise he took them from, I think they were 1 kick away from going out of Football League.
Yeah.
And he got them through every division. And for a time, they were a very good team to watch in the Premier League with a tiny stadium. Look, that's my that's my only thing. When people keep talking to me about how bad our players are and this, that, the other, I just don't believe that they're as bad as we're seeing. But I don't want to come away from the Levy argument.
Yeah, that's not.
One of the signings, one thing for me where it really did show, even after having already hated them for 10 years at this point, about 4 or 5 years ago, when we wouldn't pay the extra $5 million for a Jack Grealish. And you just sit there and you think to yourself, we wouldn't pay the $5 million for Jack Grealish, but we'd pay $60 million for Ndombele. We wouldn't pay the extra $5 million for Grealish, but we'd pay $60 million for a Richarlison. I truly believe this club needs a Jack Grealish. It needs a James Maddison. It needs a player that all the fans can, universally unite and go, yeah, we need one of them at the lane. Listen, I'm not putting him in the same bracket as these players, but we've always had that maverick, a Gaza, a Huddle, a Waddle, a Hazard, a Ginola, a Van der Vaart, a Bale. I just don't see it now. And the fact we wouldn't pay the $5 million extra to get Grealish, again, it summed up this club to me in terms of what are we doing? What are we actually hoping for here?
So yeah, I mean, with Jack Grealish, to rub it into salt into the wounds, we offered them Josh Onomar as well as part of. I'm like, how are you're talking about getting their best player? They're hands down Aston Villa's best player, and you're offering a stupid amount of money. And you've got to remember that when we were going for him, and people seem to forget this part, Aston Villa were on the verge of bankruptcy. On the very verge. Yeah. Rather than saying, listen, $5 million to Tottenham Hotspur in the grand scheme of things is absolute pittance, whereas for Aston Villa it was everything, and you're haggling over it. And then as soon as they got bought, and they're bought by a billionaire, I was like, nope, he's not up for sale. I hear a lot of people say, well, no one else wanted Grealish. And I'm like, and maybe people didn't need a left-sided attacking player. Maybe they didn't need that position. Jack Grealish, and I still say, yes, they paid $100 million. And last season, it looked like a waste of money. But this season, they pay that money for an investment. When you're buying a player as well, you're buying their mentality, you're buying their football prowess, you're buying. Jack Grealish is a young player that's only going to get better. We saw in the Euros when he came on, he made
he's a quality player. Look,
he's outstanding.
I think the problem is now the whole world is ruled by stats. And what people will do is just go, oh my God, Grealish hasn't scored or assisted many this year.
Yeah.
You watch Man City play, and Grealish takes 2 men away every time he gets the ball. He's got 2 men on him. Every time he goes up that pitch, he retains possession of the ball, allowing space for other players. But the problem is some people just go stats.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. But just quickly, I've got a super chat here from Tin Man, another one. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. I can't agree with this anymore. Why are we giving players new contracts that should have left years ago? Dyer and Davis, for example, they were not good enough 5 years ago, let alone now. And Brian, this is the thing for me. If we look at peak Tottenham, right, under Pochettino, second in the league, reaching Champions League finals, the famous 11, which would have been Lloris, Walker, Jan, Toby, Rose, Wanyama, Dembele, Ali, Eriksson, Son, Kane, right?
Yeah.
When you look where we were then, and then you look where we are now, and you look that Sanchez couldn't get in that team, Davis couldn't get in that team, Dyer couldn't get in that team, Lucas Moura couldn't get in that team. Yet 4 or 5 years later, they're still here, Brian. They're still here, and we're giving them new contracts. What is going on?
So you name that team. You can easily say it with Harry Redknapp's team. You had Ledley King and Michael Dawson, who together were brilliant. You had Van der Vaart and Modric, Aaron Lennon, Jermaine Defoe, Robbie Keane.
Chorluka.
That guy I was always iffy about.
The porn star at left back, was it Benoit?
Yeah, Benoit. So there was the nucleus of a really, really great team.
Yep.
Scotty Parker, when he came in and added some steel into that team.
Yep.
You have the nucleus of everything there. You just needed a couple of additions left, right, and centre. But no, what we do is we strip the team apart. Oh, I didn't even mention Gareth Bale in that. Team with Luka Modric, Scott Parker, all those players I mentioned, and we still didn't do it. So we can mention the Pochettino team, but it goes back deeper. Then you can look at the Martin Jol team. Even under Martin Jol. All right, under Martin Jol, we were that team that had to sell up, or we were selling our big players, Berbatov and Keane. We had Michael Carrick. Every time we've had like the strength to say, right, okay, we've got quite a good basis here. Let's build on this. We're like, no. They've done it well this year. Let's see how they do.
Sorry.
No, he ain't, mate. Listen,
that's a terrible take, Noah. Sorry.
This guy is. Listen, he had a bad season or an indifferent season settling into Man City. That guy is going to be a star. He's performing, and people can say, "Oh, look, he's got Haaland around him. It makes everyone look good." But he is a good player. He is a very good player. And do you know what? Right now, what everyone is calling out for right now? A lack of creativity. What would Jack Grealish give us? All the creativity we need. Can you imagine him and Kulusevski in the same team?
Mate, this is the thing, but it's always that way. And like one thing that's worrying me is, and again, look, we're just football fans. We don't know this to be the truth or not. Is that apparently he was offered Maddison, and Conte was offered Maddison. Now I don't know whether to believe this because I can't see that Levy would have paid whatever it's going to take to get Maddison out. But if Maddison was offered to Conte and he turned it down, isn't that worrying, or is that just me?
So do you know what the January rumours, the regular as clockwork bullshit to feed everyone, has already started coming out that apparently he didn't want an attacking midfielder, but now apparently he does.
Right.
So you're like straight away, you're like, wait a minute. And let's face it, James Maddison would be on the tip of everyone's tongue for creativity. You've got the set piece taker, yada, 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 yada. And I know Wayne Holland is in the chat, who is a Leicester fan. He's going to hate us talking about Leicester and Leicester's players. Right now, and I'd like to know what Wayne would say about this. Right now with Leicester, They may be. I don't believe they will be because Rodgers has started to turn it around.
Yeah, yeah.
But James, at one point when we get to this, James Maddison now, come January, could be in a relegation struggle. Could be talk about that. So right now, you got to think: will Leicester think, right, we're in a relegation struggle? Do we cash in on Maddison now rather than risk if we do get relegated and we lose whatever kind of money we could get from now? So Leicester are kind of, although I think Leicester will get out of it. I think Leicester will get out of it. They're starting to click again. They've improved.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. But I think the bigger point to this is everything Spurs lack is what James Maddison is as a footballer.
Correct.
A technician that can play from the wings and, more importantly, in a number 10. A set-piece taker, right?
Yep.
A goal scorer, assisting, free kick. Like, I look at all of that and I think, how is that not a no-brainer? And you're not telling me that if Spurs put the pressure on Maddison, and again, sorry, Wayne, if you are in the chat, you're not telling me if Conte and Spurs turn around to James Maddison with what's going on at Leicester and say, right, here's 60, 65 million. You're not telling me that Maddison's not going to have his head turned, right? And once a player's head is turned, right, for me, this is what I said all summer. It's all well and good going to buy a sub-striker.
So right? wait, just put in the comments as well, and this is the problem, that apparently Liverpool and Newcastle, well, we know Newcastle were, because they put two bids in.
Right.
Whereas we monitor the situation, FC.
I'll come back to the monitoring in a second. Big up.
Carry on. I need to go toilet. I'll be back in 2 secs.
Yeah, that's okay. Next time, ask permission first. Big up, Ben. Hope you're well. If any of you don't know Ben, follow Ben and go to his coffee shop. Ben, put your details of where your coffee shop is. I don't drink coffee, but I'm told it's very good stuff. So big up to yourself. Kuva is talking about himself naked, which is lovely. What a thought that is. I think the thing for me, what do you guys think about James Maddison? What do you think? Do you think that he comes in and changes the way we play completely? Does he come in and is he the missing ingredient? I'm not saying we only need one ingredient, but is he the sort of bloke that comes in and we start ticking? Is he the sort of bloke that everything would go through? Is he the sort of guy that would allow Harry Kane to actually, play up front rather than dropping deep? This is the worry, Brian. Like you just said before you went to the little boys' room.
Sorry, I need to ask for permission next time. I will do. I'll put my hand up.
Yeah, please do. This is the thing for me with this, with a player like James Maddison is other clubs will go in.
Yep.
Other clubs will go in. And the moment another club goes in, we're out the race because you know that if Liverpool go in for him, for example, if Arsenal go in for him, you just know that they won't turn around and go, you want 65? Well, here's 50 million plus a bag of quavers. But Spurs, that we'll go, here's 50 million. And then it'll be, then you'll have Ali Gold telling us for 3 months that we understand that we're just 12 million away from those clubs will go, bosh, get it done. And I'll be so jealous if he goes to the Arsenal. I'll be so jealous.
Mate, so put it this way. Maddison, apparently, we went for when he went from Coventry to Norwich. And guess what? Guess why that didn't go through? Public enemy number one. Then we were going through when he went from Coventry to Leicester. Guess what happened? But the other thing, and do you know what, Savva? You and me were actually speaking about the first time we did a stream on Henry Wright's when I was doing the January transfer window. Yeah. I want to give an example with the Diaz deal with Liverpool. Everyone said, we were there. Liverpool were just using us and we were never interested. And also, he had Liverpool in his heart and he wanted to go to Liverpool. I can kind of understand that, but if you're Tottenham Hotspur and you are putting these bids in, do you not think getting a bid accepted and allowing him, let's just say we both had our bids accepted. Diaz comes over to Tottenham, sees our wonderful world-class training ground, sees our wonderful state-of-the-art best stadium, sees Antonio Conte. Are you telling me Antonio Conte may not have the persuasion power to say, look what I can offer you, to try and sway his mind, to at least have that chance to discuss with another team that's competing? Yes, we know Liverpool can say, listen, Champions League, Cups, blah, 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 you're going to be in the first team. But not to even try and say, this is what we can offer you. Whatever they're offering you, we can offer you this, and this is where we're going forward, and this is our plan, and this is what we're going to do. But we don't get to that stage. We don't ever get to that stage. Listen, like Wayne said, with Liverpool and Newcastle being involved, put in the bid. Get into the discussion. Get into the discussion. And do you know what? If Liverpool, Newcastle, and Tottenham have a bid for James Maddison, and it's all accepted, but then Liverpool or Newcastle offer more money or regular first team, I can understand that. That happens in football. If players got their heart set on an actual specific club, or they're sold the dream by one club, I can understand that. At least I can say, do you know what? Spurs made an attempt to sign that player. We actually didn't monitor the situation. We didn't register interest. We didn't do any of that. We literally spoke to them, and the guy turned us down. Then I can turn around and you can turn and say, do you know what? We tried, but we don't.
Yeah, it's just sad, isn't it? Because I mean, look, let's assume Newcastle going for him, and let's not pretend here that we can't match Newcastle in buying a James Maddison. I'm sorry, I don't care how much money they've got. We are a Champions League football team with revenue coming in. We should be able to match it. If you start allowing teams like Newcastle and Arsenal to add players of the calibre of James Maddison, all you're going to start to see is, right, we might be above them at the moment. You're going to slowly but surely see that, and then it's going to go like that, right?
Yep.
We cannot allow that to happen. And wasn't that sort of signing, I mean, I'm using Maddison as an example, but wasn't that sort of signing as well? Other players in the team go, oh, yeah, look who's sitting in the dressing room now. Get the ball to that guy.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
But you just know we won't do it. There's going to be, I reckon we're going to see links to James Maddison every day between now
and
the
Adama Traore.
Yeah, don't. Look, what sums up this club was Dan James. Dan James was the player at the end of the window that we couldn't even get him.
Yep. You know what it is as well, Cooper. When you mentioned going into a bidding war with Newcastle, what you got to remember is, like you said, it doesn't matter the money. We know from last summer that Newcastle, everyone knows how much money they've got. They made 2 bids for James Maddison, which they deemed what they estimated that's his worth for Newcastle. That's what we're going to bid. They had 2 bids turned down, and they said, all right, we've got money, but we ain't going to play fucking name your price and do it. So I think it would be the same in the contract. They're not at the moment that team that are going to say, right, we're going to blow every team out of the water financially, no matter what happens. They had 2 bids. It was rejected. They said, okay, you've rejected them out of hand. We're not going to entertain a 3rd bid because we're not playing stupid. So we can, and you've got to remember, no matter what we're going through, Tottenham Hotspur is a huge name. And with all the setup we've got with this manager, and you've got to remember, with this manager, which is a huge thing we need to talk about as well, it should, and I'm not saying he walks, and I'm not saying he leaves. If he was to walk out, not get sacked, walked out or whatever, how long is it going to take before managers say, I'm not going to Tottenham? No matter how big they are, because I know what happens here. It's like, when we say the England job is a poison chalice.
Yeah.
This is what Tottenham Hotspur is becoming, because you're going to get the job, but all the stuff that you say you need and want when you have the interview, and they agree to, within a window or 2, oh, no, you're doing okay. Or, no, we need to buy a cinema and multiple. No, we're building a hotel. No, we're doing this. No, we're doing that. So at one point, there's going to be a point, especially after Jose, who didn't win anything, and if Antonio doesn't win anything, if those 2 managers can't get this guy to change his mind,
mate, you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. At the end of the day, let's look at it like this. Jose wasn't given the tools to win anything. Conte's not been given the tools to win anything. The next manager won't be given the tools to win anything. And that's why I always say, look, I've resigned myself to the fact that while Levy's here, we're not winning things. But that's why I don't want to watch this crap football, Brian, because I at least want to enjoy a game, right?
Yeah.
I at least want to enjoy Tottenham Hotspur. You know, we've got Bournemouth away tomorrow. I should be sitting here as a fan going, oh, looking forward to that. We're going to smash them 4-0. Instead, I'm sitting here going, oh, that'll be a tough watch. You know, and unfortunately, I don't want to feel like that. But, you know, when did you last look forward to it? Like, when did you last really, really get excited and up for a game?
Well, obviously, everyone does first game of the season. You're like, yes, football's back. And that's just because that's the first day of the season and everyone's all excited. Do you know what? I don't think I can remember. It probably would have been. Do you know what? When we talk about the last season at the Lane and we came second, do you remember that season when Liverpool almost did it with Rodgers when they had Suarez and Sturridge up front? Yeah. And they were obliterating teams by half time. It was like 3, 4, 5s. That's what we were doing. And I used to wake up on Spurs days going, like you said with Bournemouth, right, we're winning. We're winning. Look at that game against Swansea where we're 1-0 down with minutes to go and then we won 3-1. You just knew there was an aura and you knew no matter what gets thrown at us, we're going to find a solution to beat it. Yeah. This season, it's been anything but. It's like, please just don't go go 2 down before half time. That's where we are right now.
Yeah, no, we absolutely are. I mean, let's have a quick look before we go back to Levy and ENIC. Look, we've got Bournemouth tomorrow, who, look, they were massively, massively criticised for getting rid of Parker so soon into the season. You know, every football fan was, oh, this is a travesty. Bournemouth are out of order, but it's worked, right? They are. I mean, let's bring up the league table. If we have a look at the Premier League now, Bournemouth are sitting 14th, right? Whereas I think they were rock bottom and hadn't won for 4. Should we be going there and winning? And how disappointed would you be, Brian, if we go there and they have all the ball?
Well, first of all, what you got to say as well with Bournemouth, what I've loved about them, and I love that city as well. Like I said, it's a beautiful part of the world. But after losing 9-0, which is one of the most humiliating things you can imagine, as a going home and then having to justify that, get rid of Parker or not, you would have thought they would have been like, the next manager would have been like, right, whatever we're doing, we're not losing. Let's shut up shop and let's try and get some dignity back. What have they done? They've got on the attack. They've played football, and people are, yes, that will go down in history, 9-0, whatever, but they have given a really good account of themselves and they've expressed themselves, but they've been more resolute. Whereas every game we go into, it's like, come on, let's try something different. Let's be expansive. Let's do this. Let's do that. And we've just stayed the same. Full credit to Bournemouth. And we have a very good record going there. Mm-hmm. And you would think, with no disservice to Bournemouth, that when you talk about that, you saw what happened. But then we saw last week with this league what Notts Forest did to at home. You got to remember they're at home as well. And this, you got to remember, this is a team whose entire stadium fits into our fucking 1-tier stand. Their entire stadium, and we have seats left over. And this is the size of this team. And you would assume it's David versus Goliath, really, isn't it, in the grand scheme of things?
That's why, Brian, I do not want to go to their ground tomorrow and concede possession. I don't want to hear from Spurs fans that, we've not got the players. If we've not got the players, then Bournemouth certainly haven't got the players. So, but I'm worried. I'm worried about going there, Brian, because we look leggy. You know, fans were wetting themselves. Do you remember the training videos from Korea in the summer? Yeah. Oh my God, look how fit they're getting. And Conte's doing this. What's it done? They look tired. I don't think that's worked. But look, anything less than a win tomorrow is a really bad result for me. Yeah. What do you agree?
I'm completely with you on that. And that's no disrespect to Bournemouth. We need to stop this. And you know what? I'm so happy you brought this comment up, because I was going to say, can you go back to that comment very quickly? So the one thing I'll say to David with this is when Mourinho got sacked, then we had the whole 75 day without a manager thing. And then for the very first time, and I was there and I was damn proud to be screaming, we want Levy. And actually, it's something I've been campaigning for by myself, with people, not with people, but there's been other people that have felt this way. But to hear that finally hit him when we could have had Conte in the summer, but it all went to pot, he had no option. He had no option but to hire someone of the ilk of that man, no matter what it paid, because the heat, for the first time in 21 years, was solely focused on him. Right. It was solely focused on him. And whether people want to say, oh, you did nothing to do it, it's not because a few fans were singing that. Well, if you look at it, people screamed Levy out. And I know they were. And a lot of, not just a few pockets of the stadium, it was loud. It was getting around the stadium. Within 48 hours of that happening, Conte's in. Conte's in. Protesting outside the training ground, whether we had anything to, he got on him. And this time, what I will say to all of us that went to the training ground, Savva, you won't know because you weren't on Twitter. Twitter was getting caught up in this big time. It became a huge thing on Twitter. It even made subtitle, not subtitles, what's it called? Not the main title in the paper, but it was making titles, and there were actually in British press huge protest plan for Levy on transfer debt. We got the attention we needed, and that's what's been happening. But as David was saying, Conte came because he had nowhere to turn. If this goes tits up, with Conte gone, there's nowhere to turn. There's nowhere.
That is absolutely it. Let's be really honest. So far, and the thing is, so far, Levy has pulled 2 rabbits out of his hat, and he's got 1 left to play. Let's discuss that now. Just before we do, remind me about rabbits in a second, because I know what I'm like. Just quickly, I want to. Greg said, Savva, excuse me, will you get exciting football with those players? I doubt it. You'll get Nuno style back, and Nuno is a decent manager. Conte will be back to the next window. He must do. Look, Greg, when I talk about the style of football, again, this is where not everything is an absolute. Not everything is black or white. There is grey areas, right? So when I say I hate his style of football, that doesn't mean I expect to play like Pep Guardiola's Man City, right? I'm not expecting our players to suddenly, the beautiful one-touch passing and 900 passes a game and ripping teams apart. I just believe that from the football we see to that Barcelona Man City style of football, there are a lot of styles in between. And I just don't believe that we're doing any of that. And with regards to Conte being backed, again, we talked about this earlier in the show. I don't know how fans still believe this. I just don't know. Hit the like button, people. There are 172 of you in here. We are on 90 likes. Let's get that up to the 100.
10. Harry Kane, Gary Lineker, Teddy Sheringham. We can play like bingo. That's all we need. 10.
All right, please as well, any super chats, the money does go to charity. So thank you for those who have done that so far. And please, I'm hunting down to get to 2,300. Please subscribe and also go over to Tottenham on Tour and subscribe to Brian and the lads. Brian, I'm going to talk about this now. This is the subject that gets some fans wetting themselves with excitement and others are very, very angry.
Okay,
no, it's not the Hongmin Son chat, but we can have that afterwards. It's the Pochettino chat, right? We're going there, brother. We're going there.
Okay, right. Let's do it. No stone unturned.
Now, I said to you before about rabbits and hats.
Yep.
This is where Daniel Levy's a very shrewd operator, right? Daniel Levy, right? Everything was going tits up with Pochettino the first time. Let's start there. Everything, we were 14th in the league. The play, it looked like he lost the dressing room. It was awful for that last year other than getting to the Champions League final. And sacking Poch was a big call. And to appease fans, he goes and gets one of the greatest managers of all time.
Yep.
Right? Rabbit number 1.
Yep.
Right? He then sacks Jose, makes an absolute mess of the next hire, Nuno, having said earlier that window that we're going to go back to the Spurs way of playing.
Correct. Attacking, progressive, open football.
He made a balls of that, sacked him, and then came rabbit number 2, which was, all right, I've ballsed up, but everybody, Mr. Antonio Conte, right? You know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
If Conte walks, if Conte is sacked, He has a ready-made rabbit sitting there, which will appease so much of this fan base. Not me, but it will appease so much of the fan base, because what he'll do is go, it didn't work with Conte, but I've listened, and the majority of you, here's your Poch, right? Rabbit number 3. That may sound cynical, but can you see that happening in any way, shape, or form?
So first of all, what we've got to say with this is I speak to a load of Spurs people. I know, so, and from whatever walk of life and however old they are, a lot of people say, do you know what? The best time and best football I've seen was peak Poch. And that last season at the Lane, we were unstoppable. We were absolutely a joy to see. We were breathtaking. Even the media, they were like, oh my God, Tottenham, 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 Tottenham. What people have got to remember is, do you think Pochettino's that stupid? Yes, it's there, but he's going to look at this and go, right, he didn't back me and he threw me under the bus. Mm-hmm. He brought in Mourinho and didn't back him and threw him under a bus. My name was mentioned as long as Conte and as well as about 386 other managers, and he hired Nuno. Look how long he lasted. And now Conte. Listen,
you know I don't want Poch back, right? So any part of me in this conversation is purely from a host point of view, throwing questions.
Yep.
I can't be clearer for anyone in the chat. I do not want Poch back. I'm just having the conversation.
So
we're saying this, Brian, but is there realistically a bigger club where Poch will go?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was praying he took the Aston Villa job. I was absolutely begging and praying that the possibility of that happening, that bullet was taken out of the chamber. That's what I was hoping and praying. But obviously, good evening has come and taken that place. Listen, I love Pochettino. I love what he stood for. I love the one thing I will say, he united that club back together. Everyone was singing off the same hymn sheet. Fans and the players were united. But just everything was going in a positive direction. And then obviously the wheels came off. I would welcome Poch back any time if we had a different owner. I do not want him anywhere near this club whilst this man is in charge, because the history will repeat itself like it does every single time. If we had new owners, whoever they may be, I'd say, Joe, what, if you want to bring in Poch, not because you sacked Conte to bring him in, but you brought in Poch because we were looking for a manager, fair play, bring him back. If we get new owners in, it's got to be a clean slate and hope that they back the manager. When I say back the manager, I don't mean just like Man City or whatever, but give the manager the tools they need. If it was a different... Go on, what are you about to say?
This comment, he's talking about Poch. He made people believe Lionel Messi was no longer good. He didn't have the best time there. And look, one of the reasons I wouldn't have Poch back is, for me, I think that Pochettino needs a certain set of tools. I think he needs young, hungry players that will run through brick walls, that will press, that will chase, that can get around the park. Yep. I don't think him coming to Tottenham, he's not got any of that. He's got a lot of... The funny thing is, a lot of players that he signed, right?
They're still there.
I just feel that Poch is not for all of us, I'm just saying, for a lot of family, Poch for me seems like that ace up the sleeve, and I can almost see it now. Like, look, sorry, what happened last time you were here? It's going to be different this time. We've been in the stadium. You're going to get money. You can do it. Yada yada yada. I can see it happening.
Listen. The one thing I will say, and people will know this that have seen me on YouTube ever since I started on We Are Tottenham TV, is from the very second I came on, I was spouting Levy out, and giving. And everyone was like, "Oh, what's this idiot talking about? You don't know what he's doing. You don't know what he's saying." Then Levy, and then the Super League happened, and I was like, oh, "Okay, people now started to see it." Then the manager with, and they're like, "Wait a minute," and we all know how this, mate. We know how this goes.
Oh, for sure.
The only time I have been wrong with Daniel Levy is when Antonio Conte came in, and I famously said, "Oh, We Are Tottenham TV. If he comes, I'll get your logo tattooed on me," and he did. That's the only time where, when I've said something, it hasn't materialised. Oh, apart from when I said we wouldn't get fourth, but that was more Antonio Conte coming in, and I thought it was too late, and he exceeded expectations. You see it coming. We can see it coming. But when we hear it, oh no, you're so Levy out, your hatred of Levy has taken over your love of the club. No, it's not. You have to remember, people have only known me by a large side of people that are in the comments for two and a bit years since I've been coming on YouTube. I've been calling this for 15. I was on Facebook groups. I was on Alistair Gold on Football London, going, here we go, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And unfortunately, it does. And when people say you're so negative, you're so, like you said, when people say,
Always.
oh, but
Always
we've only lost,
negative.
when people say we've only lost 3 games this season, why are you so negative? It's because I'm not talking about this season. I'm talking about Levy's tenure. The same shit happens again. Yes, it's the greatest Premiership start we've had. Yes, Harry Kane has started scoring goals. Well done. Did we get a trophy for this? Where's the best start of the campaign trophy? Where's the Harry Kane scored a goal in August trophy? Where's the Harry Kane has got off to his best start trophy? There's no trophy. There's no trophy.
I just feel that on the back of that, we tend to celebrate these tiny little things because we haven't had the major successes. Yeah,
correct.
So like fans get so bogged down with things like, oh, this travesty of, oh, how did Son not win Player of the Year last year and things like that. I don't care about individual things like that. I care about what's happening to the team, right? I don't care that people get outraged that Harry Kane doesn't win the Ballon d'Or and these types of things. But as a club, you're right. We celebrate that. We celebrate the 3rd at the end of October, right? It doesn't mean anything to me.
Yep.
If we are 3rd with 10 games to go and we are in a race, I go, all right, we're serious. Cool. What are we doing in the January window? How are we helping this? But Brian, we've been here, seen it a million times. But some fans, they want to call people like me and you negative because it's easy. It's easy to see. It's easy when people create difficult conversations, yeah? And it is difficult. People don't want to hear bad things about someone they love. People don't want to hear bad things about the club they love. So when people like me and you bring up these difficult conversations, it's so easy for people to go, you're negative. But realistically, when are we wrong about it? When was the last thing that happened at Tottenham where you went, shit, I'm so wrong on that?
Exactly. And this is the thing. I would have no problem. In fact, I want to be able to come onto these channels and go, do you know what? I fucked up.
Yeah.
Mate, there's nothing more I would love to do than to come on all these channels and you go, do you know what? I'm wrong. I take back what I said about this, and this. There's nothing more I'd love. Now, the Levy group or Levy out group, shall I say, that I'm with, remember, I'm leader of a cult because I'm the one that's on YouTube. So I'm at the top of Mount Sinai telling everyone what to do, apparently. I associate, there's probably about 100 people in that group that all feel the same way, that have been outside the training ground, that have been outside the club shop, that have done this, done that. When we were doing the stuff for the Levy out opposite the club shop for the NFL and home games, the amount of people that would come over to us and have pictures taken with the banners, have the hold up and go, yeah, keep up the good fight, keep up the good fight. And I'm like, well, stay for a bit. And the numbers, more we get, but because there's such a stigma, because apparently we're negative, we're toxic. And a lot of the stuff got told that we were being violent. We were just drinking beers and alcohol and people were doing... Listen, a lot of the people that are in that group don't touch a drop. Don't touch a drop. Apparently we were being anti-Semitic. Loads of us are Jewish. It's just, let's just chuck everything you want to say about it and say these guys they're the problem.
Mate, it's what people do. Listen, right? It's like when I put let's be fair, if you have a YouTube channel, right? If you are somebody who has a voice, I'm not saying, I'm sorry, that's wrong. I don't mean everybody hasn't got a voice, but we choose to put our voice on the internet for people to see.
Yeah.
I feel that it's my duty to be real about it. I feel like I could probably have 50,000 subscribers right now if I came on every day and in every YouTube chat I did in the morning and was saying, oh my God, how brilliant are Spurs. Conte's the best thing ever. All our players are world class. We are brilliant. Spurs, we're the best, right? And that's what a lot of people want.
Yep.
That's what a lot of people want to watch that. They want to watch channels like that because it's nice and it's airy fairy and it's, you know, it's rainbows and candy and you know, everything's wonderful. But I've been saying these things now for 15, 20 years.
Yep.
I'm waiting to have to come on and go, do you know what? What a club. Look what we've done. And I'm not just talking about winning things, but a plan. I've not seen a plan with any manager. Even under Poch, not through his fault. We had a good team, but there was no plan behind it. There was no, right, we've got this good 11. Now, every window we're going to go and buy a top player to just chip away and add to the squad. No plan, right? And what infuriates me about this whole being called negative thing, right, is it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter. Spurs could lose 5-0, 6-0. I get fans coming into my chat and it will be, oh, but VAR. Oh, we were unlucky. Oh, but they've got oil owners. It's constantly the excuses for our club. And I like what me and you do, Brian, because we give people a dose of reality. Yeah? I did it all summer. I'm ranting now. I did it all summer when people were telling me, oh, Savva's in the mud. We've got 150 million plus a war chest plus this. We're going to sign world-class players. Levy's backing in with Bastoni and this and that. And I'm sitting there going, not going to happen, guys. Not going to happen. And then when I'm right, those people will come back with an excuse. Yep. Oh, maybe our targets weren't available this window. I mean, what is that? So I'm going to let you take this before you.
Yeah, I was just about to say this is the thing, and this is, I'm happy because I was actually going to bring this up before this comment came up, and this is what people have got to remember. People like yourself, myself, and various others that are on YouTube. First of all, we put ourselves in a very vulnerable situation because when we go to the grounds, people recognise you or whatever. They'll come up to you and speak or whatever, but we make ourselves very, very vulnerable. And people that disagree with us, they could have names like that, or even Huddle and Waddle, or whatever name you want. We have no idea what you look, blah, 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 for conversation. But what you got to remember is a lot of people think that I'm like I am and you are like you are just solely for what goes on the football pitch. That is categorically wrong. The reason I fight is when I see people like Ellie or people of a certain age that say, oh my God, I've supported this club for 50, 60 years and never have I seen it this bad. I fight for people that are abroad, like people here in Canada or wherever that can't get to protest but want to say something. But the main reason I am like I am is nothing to do with what's going on the pitch. That's a big factor of it. But it's how these fans are treated, and it's the total disrespect and negligence of just forgetting our history. These are the things I fight. When you look at it and you see things go on like we are the biggest or the highest price of everything, nothing in return. The fact that the community, Daniel Levy, only the last time I remember Daniel Levy doing an actual interview, forget the one he did on Tottenham TV that was scripted. The last time he came on Sky or whatever was when he handed the keys over to the developers to knock down White Hart Lane. Because we finished second. I'm like, why are you giving them the keys when they're knocking the fucking thing down? It's a good PR thing. Let me give the keys and go, oh, you've got the keys to the building now that you're about to knock down. He doesn't communicate. The NFL, when the NFL, when we were going to have our first home game against Liverpool, and then we realised the stadium weren't going to be done, two things he did. First of all, he apologised to the NFL, not the supporters. And then what he did is refunded people their ticket price for the Liverpool game at home, but charged them more to watch it at Wembley. There's things this man does behind the scenes and the way he treats the fans. I mean, I cannot tell you how frustrated I am about this whole Bill Nick and not remembering. So whether that's on him, whether that's on the media team, whether that's a different department, there are certain dates. It's amazing how Spurs Twitter can say, oh, last time we were at Bournemouth or last time we went to Old Trafford, we beat them 6-1 and replaced or say, oh, the
Yeah.
good old days at Old Trafford, and show games when we've won. But on the day of the passing of the greatest manager in our history, the most decorated man in our history, the guy that the reason that this club is the place where it is at and allowed you to buy the club and do what you're doing with it is because that great man once done it. And what more? It's like the guy's ashes are buried underneath the ground. How do you forget that? How can you forget that? And then when I even went mad on that on Twitter, this is what I have to deal with. Someone came up to me and goes, "So what? You want us to remember him every year? Do we do that with One Day Ramos when he passes away?" And I was like, "So wait a minute. You want me to put Bill Nicholson in the same breath as One Day Ramos?" And then you talk about it, what he does to the fans. When you got people like myself, like for the Arsenal, the Filth game, I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get to the pub to watch it at 7:30 in the morning to watch that. There's people that stay up late. There's people that literally deny times with their families and whatever to go and watch that, wherever it's a pub abroad, a pub at home, go to the game, watch it in front of your telly. We give everything for this club. I fight because the way that the fans are treated. I fight the way our history. Where's the game is about glory? Don't hear that anymore, do you? Where's the Coys or THFC in the stadium in the seats that used to be at Old White Hart Lane? Where's the advertising? Oh no, we can't do that because then maybe people might know what. Do you think Anthony Joshua sat there and goes, "I'm not going to fight here because you got THFC written in the seats"? Guns N' Roses says, "No, I can't because you've got Coys, and you don't know that football stadium is Tottenham's football stadium apart from that golden cockerel. If you're an outsider looking in,
Mate,
it's those things that piss me off.
It's what we do, and look, when you get fans of other clubs and even fans of Spurs saying things like "you're ungrateful," right? And oh, look where you are now compared to where ENIC turned up. Look where they put you on the map. I just sit there and I think to myself, do people realise that this football club wasn't born in 2001 when Levy bought it? Do people realise that? Like, there was a whole history of winning things. There was a whole history of class players, brilliant managers. There was a whole history. We had a relegation in the 70s. We people have to stop telling me that I'm ungrateful. Yeah. And did I see the 90s? Well, yeah, I remember winning some trophies in the 90s. I remember watching Paul Gascoigne, Jurgen Klinsmann, Teddy Sheringham, David Ginola. I remember some good things, right? But this is never it's never gonna change. Like somebody's mentioned here, right? And by the way, people who have asked to be a mod, yeah, I can do it. You don't need to do anything. I'll do it in the background once I finish the show. Look at, for example, Todd Bowley, right? Now, we can only talk about his short-term tenure because he's only been there, 5 months, maybe?
If that, max.
Gone in and gone, all right, let me show the fans what this is about. Yeah? Bang. There you go. There's what they spent, 250, 260?
Something like that.
On top of that, they're signing up, on Kunku, looking at Vardial. And you sit there and you think to yourself, yeah, you know what? He's given it a go. No Chelsea fan can turn around and say, oh, he's done a terrible job so far because he's backed them, right? ENIC and Levy and Joe Lewis, whoever it is, they've bought us and they're using us as a cash cow. They bought the club for what? Was it 19 million?
Something ridiculous.
Right?
Something ridiculous.
And now I reckon we could be sold for 4 billion, right? If anyone thinks it's about anything other than that in the long run, then they are sadly mistaken, because 22 years of behaviour isn't going to suddenly change in the 23rd year, right? This whole narrative of, oh, we're going to back a manager, fans thinking a manager's being backed.
Yep.
Right? If, as I said in the summer, this window was the window when you turn around and you could go, right, you've got nowhere to hide, Levy and ENIC. You've got nowhere to hide. You have finished the stadium. It's been in place for years. The training ground's done, right? You've got your world-class manager. You've got the director of football you wanted. We're in the top 4. You've got Champions League money. Now it was right. Okay, show us then why we moved to this stadium. This is the window. And again, when it doesn't work, it's going to take 2 or 3 windows.
Yep.
What? 2 or 3 more windows like we've just had. People are telling me that is going to make Conte turn this team into a winning. Mate, I'm so baffled with how people don't see it.
So first of all, when people say like David Clark put in a great comment as well that he's just obsessed with money. That Daniel Levy is obsessed with, which it is. But then what you got to realise is you're going to make more money if you win the league. You're going to make more money if you win the Champions League, the FA Cup, whatever. Getting the names and winning trophies brings attention on your way. It's like, oh, look what's going on at Tottenham. They're doing whatever. We've gone to such microscopic details that the Spurs Lodge, they have bought exactly the same beds as the players have at home, so they feel comfortable in their home surroundings and everything's the same. It's like you're going to that microscopic details to make the players perform, but you're not buying the players that can help the performance even better by getting the players the manager wants. We are going into such micro. Do you think that Emerson is playing better because he's sleeping on the same bed as what he does at home? It's gone to the days. Well, I remember, Savva, and you remember when when we were watching football. Do you think anyone cared? What the fuck was XG? What the fuck was? We used to hear, instead of saying, and I had this discussion with Wayne Holland yesterday actually. When we speak about possession, we see those stats: possession in the last 5 minutes. There was none of that. It was this team has dominated. This team has dominated. The way it's been microscopically broken down into such fine details, it's becoming more of a science than an actual game of athletes. And it's literally, back in the old days, you brought players in and they did the job that you needed, and it wasn't micro. Oh well, your stats in this game weren't as big. They're grown men, they're athletes, they're professional at what they do. To break it down into the most microscopic detail now, and that's not on the fault of the club. That's on the fault of Sky, Opta, blah blah blah. That brought out all these. I get stats, I get corners and shots on goal and shots on target and possession and offsides. But to XG, expected threat, expected passes, square passes.
I hate it. Like, mate, do you know what? And this is the thing. Like, you know, obviously, Will and I, when we stream together, we always butt heads. And by the way, I really like Will. Before anyone says anything,
yeah, big up Will.
Everything is a stat, and it's like, you know, I don't need a stat to tell me that Harry Kane is our best player. I don't need a stat to tell me that, right? Okay. I don't need a stat to tell me at the end of a game whether or not someone had a good game. And what we do now is we do that. So, for example, if Højbjerg has a bad game, he had a bad game. Fans would go, oh, yeah, but if you actually look, 7 of his 10 duels were won on the ground. And you're thinking, no, hang on, but that doesn't... That tells you... That's an element. That's not the whole game, right?
Yeah.
And football, for me, has lost its way with this. For me, I care about, as a forward, your stats are how many times have you put that ball in the back of the net?
Yeah.
Right? Sorry, that's as simple as it is for me. And this is when we had a debate a while back about Kane. Is he playing well? Is he not? And I said, at the moment, it doesn't matter. The guy's got, 10 league goals in 11 games?
Yeah.
10 in 11. It's phenomenal form, but we're now in this era, this golden era of the assist to the assist. What is that? What? The assist to the assist?
What about the assist to the assist to the assist, mate?
Exactly. Expected pressures, expected goals. How can you have expected goals? What a nonsense stat that is. Yeah. Expected goals is the number of goals you score at the end of the game. Right? Just
listen. The only stat that really matters, or 2 stats, is the one that you see at the top left hand of the corner that says Tottenham X, whatever score, opponent, whatever, and when you look at the Premier League table. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, mate. Just really quickly, Super Tommy Tuchel. Again, mate. Listen, I don't think you're a Spurs. You're a Chelsea fan, right? Because you just asked me a question. Yes, we've won leagues before. and we were very successful, even as a cup team.
I have to say, the irony, Savva, of a Chelsea fan, by the looks of it, saying this is ironic to me. It's absolutely.
I agree. But again, football didn't start in 2000. Football didn't start with the Premier League. This club, at one point, we'd won the most. Was it at the turn of the century? We'd won the most FA Cups of every club in the country.
Yep, when we won it for the 8th time, and now Arsenal were nowhere near that. And in 30 years, they've now won it 14 times.
Yeah, right. So things like that. So, but look, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Brian, look, let's face this, right? Sorry, I've just been sent something about Spurs. Somebody sent me. It's from www.teamtalk.com. Are you ready for this?
I'm always ready.
This is what I love when these reporters write this crap. This is the headline. Massive Tottenham cash injection to delight Fabio Paratici with double Italy swoop now simple. Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, okay, right. Well, I'm not. But who are these two players? How much? What's the massive injection? The article starts with this. Fabio Paratici's transfer funds at Tottenham are in line to be boosted by 30 million euros, which would help the club sign 2 players from Italy. After that line, I stopped reading. Massive cash boost, 25 million pounds, that is.
So, mate, listen, I'm happy you said that because it just triggered something with me. And you mentioned it before, this Eric Dyer contract. I am telling you now, I'm not going to say fact because I don't like to say that. And then obviously people go, oh, Brian, you don't know. Blah, blah, blah. This is what I can tell you. With that Eric Dyer contract, we all know that the club, and not just Tottenham, every club in the world have their little moles that leak shit. You really think at the end of that Newcastle game, people were talking about 3 things. The style of play, the transfer window was coming into heavy questioning, and the forgetful of Bill Nick. All 3 route back to Levy. What better way to change the big hot topics than say Son is wanted by Real Madrid or he wants to go to Real Madrid, and Eric Dyer and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg are up for contract renewals. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. Now everyone starts talking about Eric Dyer. And you really think the club will release officially that this is happening the day after he's had the most shocking performance against Newcastle? The time to release that would have been Eric Dyer has been called up to the England squad again. Then you say the headline should have been we're in transfer talks, contract extensions with the renewed England international. That's the story. There you go. He's on a high. But no, we'll wait till things are shit and things are getting pointed in one direction. And let's stop everyone talking about that. And now everyone talks about how in God's earth can Eric Dyer get a contract extension. Mm-hmm. It takes the heat off one place.
And we're about to do it again. Just remind me, Kulusevski, in a minute. First of all, thank you very much for the super chat. Worrying that you found that photo of me somewhere. I can't even think when that photo was taken. I mean, who?
In black and white, 1936.
The internet is a really weird and wonderful place that someone's done that. Could I kindly ask you to remove that photo, please? I don't give permission for that to be used. Mate, just quickly, sorry. I saw a comment that I did want to go back to. Where was it? So Super Tommy Tuchel said, sorry, where did I see it?
Well, whilst you're talking about that black and white picture, I'll tell you how weird the internet is. When I was last back in England, my nephews came running into me after school and started lifting up this sleeve. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, where's your tattoo? And I said, what tattoo? He goes, the one that you had on YouTube. I was like, I beg your pardon? And they're like, I Googled you at school, and the first thing that came up was that you had that tattoo. I was like, Jesus Christ. These are like my 10-year-old nephews. That's how quick and how weird the internet can be. But yeah, have you found that comment?
I got, there's a lot of comments. Somebody said that was Savva coming out of Borstal. Luan didn't believe it was me. Yeah, I've just remembered that photo was taken in Milton Keynes, right, in 2009. 2012, 2013. I don't know why somebody has got that photo. That's really, really worrying. Just Royal Spell. I've already said I'll make you a mod. If I do it now, it will take me time to go into the back end of the show and do it all. So I will do it afterwards. Can we just say, right, that Spurs this year got away with a lot in the window, because at the end of the window, it was, Spurs have made the option to sign Romero and we've done it. And everyone went, oh my God, it's like a brand new signing. And you're like, well, hang on, this was already agreed the year before and he's not a new signing. We've had him for a year. And I hate to break it to you, but next summer is going to be the same with Kulusevski. It will be, don't forget we've got to pay the extra however much for Kulusevski. That's like another new signing. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand how fans are so easily pleased.
Well, just remember as well, the people that are out on loan also have to come back. The people that are on loan, you need to ask for permission, Savva. You can't say one rule for me and one rule for you. That's terrible. But what we've got to remember is those people are coming back off loan. So you got Lo Celso. I don't know how these players are doing, so I don't really pay much attention. And Dembele, I believe, is doing well at Napoli because the Champions League, I have seen him. And these players are going to come back. Then we're going to have to shift them. But this is part of the problem. Because we've signed such bad players and Levy demands such high prices for these people. And I will say, in one defence of Levy, the one thing he's fucking terrific at is selling our star asset. Selling our star asset, there is no one I'd rather want. I often say this: if me and my wife, please God, never happens to get a divorce, I want Daniel Levy to handle my divorce, because my wife will be giving me child support money and we don't have a child. That's how good he is at doing shit like that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to selling the middle of the road players, he wants to get back what he normally outlaid. And so these players that have gone out on loan is because no one would pay the money for them. They've been that bad that the price you're quoting, no one will pay it. Yeah, so when we're talking about this window, these players in the summer, Savva, have got to come back. And then we've got the problem of trying to ship them out. And then we're going to say we have to sell to buy. But then we can't sell these people. So we've got to dilly and try and get them out on loan again or do what. It's a mess. It's a mess.
This is really weird now. Whoever is making accounts about me, I know they're not malicious, but I don't know where you are getting these photos from. So please, could you stop? Or I will just block and report. That photo, I have no idea. That's in my old house. I don't understand people making these accounts. It's really childish, so I will block if that keeps happening. Brian, we're going to go for 5 more minutes. Cool. So anybody getting any questions, get the questions in for me and Brian. We'll answer them in the last 5 minutes. Brian, we've got X amount of time now coming up until the World Cup starts.
Yep.
Right. Where do you think, I'm putting you on the spot, where do you think we will be at the start of the World Cup? Do you think we'll still be in that top 4? Or do you think we're going to drop off?
So let's have a look. What we've got: Bournemouth, Liverpool and Leeds in the Premier League left. Bournemouth, listen, I'm not going to say we should take 9 points out of that, because I've got to the point now where I'm holding myself accountable. And I'm not just going to say, because it's Spurs, we're going to win every game. I'm done doing that. Until they warrant it, I'm done saying that. So Bournemouth, I've already said I think it's either going to be a 2-2 draw or a 3-1 win for us. There's going to be 4 goals in my opinion. So Liverpool, who have not won an away game all season. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Their next away game is who? You got it. Tottenham Hotspur.
I'm worried about that, mate.
And then Leeds at home, and Leeds are fighting for their life. And Leeds, you never know what Leeds is going to turn up. They're either absolutely brilliant. And one thing, which I'll give fair play to Jesse March and whatever, they will try and play attacking football. Yes, they need to. They need to try and tighten it, but they will try and express themselves. It's how we do. And when I was on We Are Tottenham TV earlier, Conte came out saying about playing Romero and Højbjerg was a big risk because we've got to try and keep them fit and whatever. And Romero's already not as ready as we'd want him to for tomorrow. And then now we're in do we play him tomorrow and risk him for Marseille, or do we play him for Marseille? I just hope we're in the top four. I don't put it this way. I think we're third at the moment, aren't we? I think we may be fourth.
Yeah, I think we're third, but I just can't see us staying up there, because what we need is we need a run of games against the poorer teams, because that is what got us up there. And the moment now we've started to play some decent teams, we can't win a game for love nor money. I am going to end the show in a second, mate. It's all kicking off in my house, and the dogs are going a little bit crazy. But
No
listen,
worries.
I just want to say, Brian, thanks so much. We'll do that every Friday. We'll have a regular show. Looking forward to meeting you when you're back from Canada.
Right.
And thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you for all the super chats, all the likes. Please go and subscribe to Brian at Tottenham on Tour. Please subscribe to Savva Talks Football. Please stop making accounts about me. Even if you think it's funny, it's very frustrating for me. Thank you very much. I'll be live again on Sunday night with my new show with the Tottenham Review with David, Irish Hotspur, Sean from the Spurs Talk Show, and Kuva99. So I will see you all there, 7:00. And let's hope that we're actually talking about a Spurs win.
And as always, Levy out.